Okay, we're going to break in right now with breaking news as we've been following these protests downtown San Antonio, and we've been stressing about the importance of things remaining peaceful, remaining calm. It looks like things have taken a little bit of a turn out here tonight. We just saw one man kind of in the middle of some DPS troopers and other law enforcement officers. You can see people, they've been kind of shouting at some of the law enforcement officers. Looks like we're at the corner of East Houston there. And you can see the wall of the law enforcement officers. They've got their shields there. A lot of people there carrying their phones, walking around. So we're just going to I'm going to talk over all of this as we observe what's going on. These people have... You can see a lot of them carrying signs. They've had flags from countries all over the world. This is in demonstration to the ICE detainments and the deportations of the Trump administration. That's what these protesters are out here tonight demonstrating against. This started at 7 o'clock tonight. They were outside of City Hall, which is not where they are now. They have moved. They're at East Houston Street, and still a lot of people. I was kind of thinking it was most likely that it looked like a lot of the protesters were packing up and heading home, but no, rather it looks like they've kind of just moved to a different location downtown. And police have been really stressing that you've got every right to be out here to demonstrate, but you've got to do it responsibly, you've got to do it peacefully. And as much as police want that to be the case, they are prepared if things take a turn. And in the background right now, I can hear shouting, I can hear some chanting. Of course, a lot of people walking around with their phones out, and you can see a lot of people there in the distance holding up their signs. And this all started in Los Angeles. Last weekend, we saw people starting to protest, and we've seen many nights of unrest. The Guard and even the Marines, on behalf of the Trump administration, sent to Los Angeles earlier this week. Protests started in Houston, and it was announced within the last few days that there would be protests and demonstrations here in San Antonio tonight. And again, they're planning to be back this weekend, at least on Saturday. And some of the organizers have said they expect bigger crowds. The mayor saying they're expecting more crowds as this kind of catches on, and as it has around the country. Even tonight, we were reporting that Dallas is seeing protests, D.C. is seeing protests, New York. So at least 3 cities. We had some video from El Paso earlier as well, and it's all in response to what we have been uniquely seeing here in San Antonio. A lot of these people showing up to the federal courthouses for their immigration hearings, and they're walking out of the buildings, and immediately ICE agents and federal officials are just detaining them, walking them onto buses. And as recent as this morning, we saw a family of 4 taken onto a bus outside of that federal courthouse. But what we're seeing here is our photographer, who is in here in the middle of all these protests, carrying this camera around. We saw that line of law enforcement officers. They're standing there, certainly not inciting anything. They have their shields up, and you've got a number of these demonstrators making their voices heard. They're chanting right now. I can't quite tell what they're saying. Oh, peaceful protest. They're saying peaceful protest. We've had to be really careful tonight during all of these protests on getting any close-up shots, because there have been some vulgar things on some of the signs, but I'm fortunately not seeing any of that, and we're not hearing it either. What they're chanting is back and forth, just peaceful protest, peaceful protest. I think it'll be okay if we listen in just a couple seconds. Yeah, so still chanting that. It actually sounds like it's getting a little bit stronger, and you're seeing a lot of people walk around with cameras, they're videoing, they're taking pictures. So there's that side of it. The people who are capturing this moment here in San Antonio, not participating as much in the demonstrations. And then, of course, we're seeing the people who are chanting. No, they're not all chanting. Some of them are just holding signs, and some of them are just standing there in support of the demonstrations. Not happy with the detainments and the deportations that we've seen in our country and even here in San Antonio. And, of course, we're so close to the border here. It affects a lot of us. Right now, though, we know, and we've been going back and forth to our reporter Taylor Whartonby a lot live tonight because she has been at the Alamo where law enforcement had just kind of barricaded around it. They'd blocked it all off. The Alamo closed early tonight, basically saying, we're keeping this area protected. We don't want anyone thinking it's okay to come in here. This is our historic site. We're preserving it. We are keeping the Alamo safe, and that is indeed where this crowd has kind of moved over to. So they will not be moving from where they're standing at this point, which is they're trying to protect the Alamo, this historic site. And they are in front of the federal building. You can hear someone explaining exactly where they are right now. Alamo Plaza, which is, you can see the sign right there pointing that at the corner of Alamo Plaza in East Houston. Okay, and we are, I apologize, I'm getting some information in my ear. And we've seen our reporters out there all night. Everything has been able to stay very peaceful. Melissa Vega joining me now.
Yes, you know, Mandy and I have been here all evening long. We have been watching this protest grow. We have been seeing marchers out at City Hall, protesters there, and now we are seeing this Take Back the Alamo protest as well. Now, something that Governor Greg Abbott announced even yesterday evening, that the Texas National Guard was being deployed. The governor announcing that the Guard was being deployed to locations across the state to ensure peace, to ensure order. The governor making it clear that peaceful protest is legal, but harming a person or property is illegal, and that will lead to an arrest. So the governor saying that every tool, the National Guard will be using every tool and strategy law enforcement maintain order. Now, what we have seen throughout the evening is a peaceful protest. We do see the people out there, and we do see the DPS troopers as well. They're saying no justice, no peace as well.
I believe in the second part of that is, listen, no racist police. That's currently what they were chanting. A second ago, they were chanting peaceful protest, peaceful protest. They've now moved on to something else. Yeah, and it looks like more people are joining them. I know Taylor earlier, who was at the Alamo, had mentioned that she could hear the chanting growing closer, and that is close to where she is right now. Before we popped up live, right after dawn, it looked like a protester was kind of surrounded by law enforcement, but I don't believe they were arresting him. As far as we know, there haven't been any arrests, but things started to look like they're getting a little more rowdy out here tonight, so we wanted to make sure we're getting this shot and bringing you the information as this is all unfolding out here.
And we have seen this crowd grow. I mean, throughout the evening, there were a few people out there before 6 o'clock, and then when 7 o'clock came around, we did see some people, and now we have seen that crowd grow throughout the last several hours. So it's unclear if the people here belong to certain groups or these just members of the community that are coming out as well. And throughout the demonstration where people were in front of City Hall, we did see people carrying posters, and they were carrying flags from other countries as well. So there were definitely different crowds of people that we saw out there, but you know, as the night has progressed, now it is after 10:30, we have seen the crowds continuing to grow out here.
Yeah, so it's been over 3.5 hours of these protests, and at first, like we said, it started at City Hall. We were taking those aerial shots as the crowd grew and grew and grew. Then they started circling the block, walking around City Hall, everything very orderly. And that was what our law enforcement and our city leaders were hoping for. And something I'll point out, They just showed the main windows of that building, you could see, were boarded up ahead of these protests. We've seen some business owners that spoke to us earlier that have boarded up the windows of their buildings because they're nervous that things could take a turn here tonight or this weekend, in the coming days. Businesses that are downtown that have had some damage to their buildings from protesters coming out and demonstrating, because things can sometimes have a tendency to turn as emotions run high. People feel so strongly about what they're out there demonstrating. And that was something that the mayor was talking about. We get that this is such an important and sensitive topic. We're San Antonio. We are so affected by this, more so than many other parts of the country, because we have such a large Hispanic population, a lot of people who immigrated here, who have settled here, and we see so much of it here. So we get why so many people are personally invested. And the mayor and the chief saying they didn't know that the governor was going to choose to deploy National Guard troops to San Antonio, didn't discuss it with them. Mayor Nirenberg saying he didn't think it was needed, but that aside, they are here. We don't know exactly what their, I believe their goal is, their intention is to protect federal buildings. One of our reporters mentioned seeing some of the National Guard troops earlier. I haven't picked any out from the crowd, though, from what I have seen.
Yeah, that's something that the governor had announced, that yes, they were going to be there. The National Guard was going to be deployed to cities around the state of Texas that were going to have these protests. Again, the governor has been talking about law and order. Let's go ahead, and he had the megaphone there, trying to listen to. Yeah.
There is no reason for them to step up to this type of level. We have been here nothing but peacefully. Greg Abbott has put his National Guard here, and for what? For what? All because we want to exercise that First Amendment right and lead a peaceful protest. There's absolutely no reason for them to be here besides the people who just decided violence against us.
You talking to me, Josie?
Okay, he is saying that, you know, we have been here peacefully, and the gentleman on the megaphone is saying, you know, there's no reason for the National Guard. So, you know, some of the people out there also